know, but, like, we should be like, do. But, like, I know the other people in our class made a theme song. We're just here for vibes, but, like, I'm so into this. Like, I feel like we should start an actual podcast, Michaela.
That'd be so sick. Oh my god. Imagine that one. But yeah, we're back with Generational Car Talks. Episode 3.
Oh my gosh, time flies.
I know, right? It's the final
Time
episode.
flies when you're
having
talking
fun.
about pachinko.
I know. Oh my god. This book is actually amazing. I love talking about this book. I could... Whenever you have
I have to say, I love this project. I love, like, being able to talk about it and, like, just chilling.
It's freely talking about it, too. Like, you can talk about whatever you want.
We are analyzing the heck out of these passages, but I feel more like we're really making some breakthroughs here. So,
right?
Generational 3, we've come full circle, and we really will. Ooh, sorry, didn't drive right. We really will come full circle in the end. So I think you have to stop foreshadowing and getting excited, but let's chat.
Now my foreshadowing, I can actually explain. Oh my goodness.
Please.
So what I was talking about, like, way before, back with, like, my last passage, with how he wanted to be Japanese. Oh my goodness. He does it again. Like, he's literally...
He strikes again.
Oh my god. I wrote in my book. Oh my god. This is literally what he talked about before.
Incredulous.
Because this is my exact sentence that I chose. Like, Noah wasn't sure why he had dropped the dough from his surname when he introduced himself to Bingo, but now it's too late to go back, like, to change it back.
So, not to step into your territory, but he subconsciously pretended to be Japanese.
Right.
Like, he wasn't even sure himself how it happened, but you know what? He's trying to be Japanese. It happened.
Like, I feel like... Oh, words are so hard right now.
It's late. I'm not gonna lie.
Know, right? It's been a long day, Miss Green, okay? But I feel like it speaks back to what he said earlier in the book. Oh, I want to be Japanese. Because, like, he subconsciously, like, he didn't even mean to do it. He was like, where was it in the, like, I'm trying to find the exact quote, but, like, he didn't mean to do it. He just, like, said it.
It's so engraved in his thinking. It's so normalized.
It was just natural for him.
Like, last generation, it was like, oh, like, it's a secret. It's a secret. The thing he wants most is to be Japanese. And now it's like, it's not a secret. It's his... It's his values. It's like...
Yeah. Later on, he's like, oh, I've been thinking about getting a Japanese citizenship.
It's like so...
That he can't be Japanese.
It's so normalized.
Right? And so, I feel like it speaks so heavily to race again, like what we were talking about how that's, like, impacted his, like, not just race, but also, like, fathership.
So, like, I think Generation 3 also touches on race more.
Yes.
We also go full circle.
I feel
but
like
I really want to emphasize...
parenthood.
Yeah, but I really want to emphasize the difference of the racial tension. Because in the other one, it was like, oh, there's some racial tension. In this one, it's just so normalized. We can see how, like, in this third generation... I mean, Noah's older. He has more life experience.
Yeah.
It's just, you know...
Yeah, I feel like... Now that I know your passage, I feel like this one speaks for identity, but towards parentship.
Uh-huh.
Or parenthood.
How so?
Well, it's like in this, his identity and, like, his, like, what he thought of himself changed completely once he figured out, like, back from, like, your passage, slightly after, it changed completely.
Yeah,
so
when
he
he
moved
found out.
cities, like, totally. He was like, that came from dirty money. So, like, who am I? Like, if Isak's not my father, who am I?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my god, I'm, like, the son of a gangster.
I can't believe that Hanzu's turned out to be Yakuza, by the way. Like, I did not expect that.
I know, right? Like,
a Korean in Yakuza. Hello.
Like, that's actually crazy.
I mean, was Hanzu Japanese or Korean?
He's definitely Korean.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He grew up on Jeju.
Yeah, so
Jeju
a Korean being in a Japanese, in the biggest Japanese mob is crazy. Anyways, back on topic, but...
I mean, like, technically it is on topic, though. Because it's, like...
Talking about racial identity because it's so normalized!
Right? And it's like... like, his, like, what he thought of himself changed completely!
I'm not even gonna lie, when I was reading this book, like, it became so normalized for me as well. I'd be reading it and I'd be like, oh, this character's Korean. I'd be like, okay, so he's lesser in the society.
Oh my goodness.
Like, not that I actually think that, but it's just, you knew where the character stood. You knew where the character stood if they were... Why am I sorry? They knew where the character stood if they were introduced as Korean. I was like, okay, well, I understand. Yeah. And, like, when they walked around, I'm like, oh, that's a Korean man. Oh, that's a Japanese man. I actually looked up on the internet, like, Korean versus Japanese man to really see how different it was. And, like, it really wasn't even all that different. But, I mean, you know, we're American, we're a completely different race, and, like, Korean and Japanese are, like, in the same ballpark of Asian.
Right.
But it's still, like, I know there's a difference for them, but to me, I was just, like, all of this trouble over, like, slightly wider eyes, slightly thinner lips, you know?
Right. Like, it's like they were like, oh, they're so much lesser than us. Like, what? Like, because, okay, I don't know about you, but I remember like,
It's the
I
politics.
can't remember about in history. We were learning about this in history. And it's like,
are you making a connection to our IB history class, Michaela?
bro, I am. It's either that or, like, I learned about this a while ago. Because it's like, they essentially, like, everyone of, like, the same, like, around the same race comes from around the same region.
Yep.
It's just, like, slight evolution. Like, details that
But at the
change.
same time, what blows my mind in this book is that, most of the Koreans, like Noah, grew up their whole lives in Japan. But yet they were lesser.
I know, right? Even though Noah was incredibly smart.
Oh, what a smart cookie.
Oh my goodness. Okay, to bring it back to my passage,
Uh-huh.
my word that I chose was pachinko. And I was thinking about it. And I searched up what a pachinko machine was because I didn't know what a pachinko machine
Well,
was.
it went more into it when, you know, Mozasu took over the whole thing, and it was explained, but, like, you know, it's still not, like, the whole third book was called Pachinko, so we kind of need to know
like
before.
the whole thing of, like, chance and, like, one wrong, like movement on it, or one, like, contrasting...
One mistake.
Like, one mistake could affect your entire outcome.
We're gonna remind me to talk about Pachinko on my last passage, because, wow, one mistake,
I know, right?
You know?
It's just one mistake. But the reason I chose pachinko was because, what's his name? Noah was so against Mozasu going into the pachinko business.
Yeah.
But then he was forced to do that because he needed the money.
I remember in your passage, and it was like, Pachinko? No, it was like trying not to be offended.
Right? It's like...
When Binko, like, suggested it, he was like, whoa, Pachinko? Are you kidding me here? Like, no,
Right?
tried not to look offended.
Right? But, like, I feel like that's like... We'll get more into, like, why pachinko is, like, such a big thing for identity.
In my passage, for sure.
Definitely. But, like, I don't know, I feel like it just holds so true because it's, like, or like, so... I'm sorry, I can't say anything else except for valid, because...
Yeah, in teenage slang.
Yes, in teenage
It is
slang.
validated.
Right. And it's like... Oh. But yeah, it's like, Noah wanted to be Japanese, right? Mozasu didn't. He wanted to go to America.
He was a rich Korean man. He was vibing.
Right?
Oh my god, his wife was...
Also, do we want to talk about the fact that... Oh, it's the next one, actually.
Oh, I know. I'm just looking at
okay.
houses now because we got time.
Oh, fair enough. But can we talk about the fact that Mozasu was the one that got the lesser amount of education, yet bettered himself off, even if it was, like, what Noah thought was, quote-unquote, dirty money.
Michaela, Noah was too smart to exist in this... Like, in this world, in this society. He was too smart.
If he went to America, let's be honest, he would have thrived. If he went to,
equality for all. Like, he should have been to NYC, New York City. He could have been with everyone else. Like, yeah.
Like, that breaks my heart. But yeah, it's like, Mozasu thrived so much, even though he didn't even graduate high school, did he? No,
he dropped out.
Yeah.
And he just went straight to Pachinko, which, new beginnings.
Yeah. And then, like, you have the Noah, who's supposed to be the successful and, like, bright child, who's now abandoned his family. Mm-hmm. Doesn't he still send money back, or no?
Noah? Yeah, he did, but, like, from different paychecks. Are you talking about Mozasu or Noah?
No, Noah.
Yeah, he sent bad paychecks always until he died with, like, a different post stamp, so they couldn't tell where it was from.
That's so sad to me. Oh. But, yeah, what how do we, I want to make sure I'm just keeping on track. Do you want to talk about yours, or do you want to dig deeper into mine?
Let's dig deeper, a little bit deeper into yours, just about, like, maybe how it speaks to Generation 3.
How it speaks to Generation 3?
Yeah, before we move on.
I don't know. With the whole, like... Oh my goodness. I feel like... what was I saying before with the whole parenthood? I feel like it really speaks to Generation 3 because it's like parenthood is such a big one because it's like Hansu was his father, but Isak
who raised him? Who raised him?
Right.
Who was the daddy?
Right? Like,
and Isak loved him so much.
I know. part that, like, he had to find out that way. That irritates me so much, by the way. Oh my gosh. But I feel like parenthood speaks a lot to, like, identity, especially in this passage, where it's like, the only reason that he changed his name was because he found out that his father was someone else. And now he wanted to be Japanese again. You know what I mean? Like,
wow, yeah.
Like, it's because he found out that his father was, like, a Yakuza member.
And even then, he couldn't even be Japanese.
Right?
Like, not even a little.
And he's like, I don't want any of that dirty money. So, in a way, like, he's still speaking to Isak's values. But, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, I want nothing to do with this family. Yet he's still following the values that, like,
but I mean,
his family followed.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, I'd say, like, the main idea, too, would really just be, like, how integrated the racial, like, him being like, oh, I don't even know why I dropped that part of my name. Like,
oh my goodness,
it's so integrated and normalized and all that stuff. So, yeah, okay, let's move on to my passage, which I really loved the passage I chose. Like, while I was reading, I, like, marked passages that I wanted to analyze for this project, and this one just stood out to me so much because although we could be talking about Solomon, the third generation son, I honestly think that talking about...
He kind of boring, though.
Oh, gosh.
He kind of boring.
Yes, he plays his part, and yes, he has, like, his identity stuff, but the thing is, he's boring because he, like, finally breaks this chain of, like, he goes to America, he's not discriminated against, he doesn't have any identity issues.
Yeah, which,
like,
is, I feel like...
which would have been good to analyze, but I wanted to talk about Sunja.
I'll talk about this.
I wanted to go full circle to Sunja.
Okay.
So my passage was the conversation between Sunja and her mother, right before her mother passed, and she got really bold, and she was talking about, like, you don't even love me or take care of me, all you care about is your children, you should never have made that mistake that you made way back then.
She was 14! Wait, 16? 14?
Somewhere in there, who cares, like,
something
one
like
single mistake in her life changed the trajectory. And her mother, which is Pachinko, and her mother talked about, like, so can I see the,
Oh, of course. I
So,
can read them out if you would like to.
I would just like to read my, sentence part of it. So my sentence from this passage was, actually, it's a word. Yeah, my sentence was, a woman can't make a mistake like that. Because even 3 generations later, I think what we can compare of all the generations is how integrated and how integral, like, how normalized all this stuff is. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild. Where's your house?
Oh, girl. It was at the...
Oh.
You missed a turn back there.
No matter. We have lots of time to get back to your house.
Exactly.
But, I was just saying this didn't look familiar.
Yeah, no, just turn, like, left at the next left.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what was I saying? It's so integrated, and, like, we're going all the way back to the suffering thing, because it's like, oh, her mother had always said that. Her mother had always said, like, oh, I'm gonna suffer.
Well, even at like, you remember that conversation that Sunja had with one of the, what were they called? The
merchant.
Anujamis, where it was,
oh,
like,
yeah, I remember. That's a nice cultural word to remember. Good job.
I think it was, like, Jamas or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
She was like, women suffer all throughout their life.
And it's something that her mother had always said. Here?
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
And it's so reoccurring, and it's feel like we thought, maybe my opinion's changing a little bit, because, hear me out, we thought that, first generation was about feminism and stuff, and then the second generation changed to racism, you know?
Uh-huh.
Like, in racial. But really, maybe it never went away.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, like, normalized.
It was just always there. Yeah.
So we focused on the racial stuff. Like, we talked about how, like, the identity, like, complexified and, like, got more complicated. But, like, maybe...
I feel like everything
it was
goes
just,
on top of each
just
other.
because it was... Yeah, but just because it was normalized, we, like, low-key, like, we're like, oh, hey, like, it's not that, like, about it anymore.
Okay,
but, like,
wait, so you do remember when you were talking about earlier in the second episode, when you were like, well, not only is it now, like, it's not only Korean and Japanese, now it's male, female,
yeah.
Korean, Japanese.
Yeah.
Like, that was
and we thought
amazing.
that, like,
Perfect.
one became over the other, but it's, like, it always played a part.
Right? Like, it's so significant to the time period, too.
And then my phrase was, that we talked about this a little, but, like, what a phrase. This is, like, a quote that I want, like, tattooed on me, bro. But it says, which I can't because I'm Jewish, but whatever. If I could, which maybe like a 2-year one, it says, suffer as a girl, suffer as a wife, suffer as a mother, die suffering.
Bro,
a nice pause to, like, absorb that.
That just speaks to, like,
like if you said that in this day and age, it'd be like, get help, you know? Like, get help. You don't have to suffer. But back then it was like, yes,
women couldn't do anything.
Suffering, well, that's what's up.
I think it speaks back to, like, what we've been saying about Sunja and how she's been quiet. Like, she's suffering and she's been quiet about this entire time. She can't get help from anyone.
Yeah. And then my word was blame. Because you're always being blamed, whether you're...
Reading that passage broke my heart, because it's like, her mother, Sunja's mother was like, you don't care about me.
Yeah.
When literally she's like, in the beginning of the passage, she was like, oh, you need to take care of your children.
And looking at it from an objective standpoint, Koreans are blaming the Japanese for hating them and not giving them a chance. The Japanese hate the Koreans for dirtying their country. Women are lesser than men, and they hate that because they want to be more. Men hate the women because they're being a hindrance. Like, and then you could even intersect it by saying, like, men hate the Japanese. Like, all this different stuff. And it goes on and on and on and on. And it, like, all intersects, and it's all identity, and it's all contradicting each other and getting involved and being complicated. And oh my gosh, like...
Right.
That is suffering. That is, even thinking about that, even discussing it, it's like torture.
But I feel like... words are hard. As time went on, like, I feel like in the time period, that was so valid. Like what you were saying earlier, but now, as time went on, that suffering didn't have to happen.
Yeah.
And it's like, we kind of got out of that, like, little loop.
Which is like, wow.
I know, right? Okay, I know that we're gonna get into the word pachinko, but I just want to I want to talk about this. Okay, hear me out. So each generation was kind of like went through a quote unquote like pachinko round.
Yeah, and that's like what separated the generations.
Right, and it's
so
like
do you want to like
Solomon
analyze those
was
moments?
finally a winner, and I know, right? And his was like the straightforward path that like had like no bumps or had very few, and like that finally went right. His was finally the winner.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because it's like
I feel like there were moments that defined like when you lost. Like Sunja's moment was in the very beginning of her life when she got pregnant.
Yeah.
That was her losing move in the pachinko game.
Noah's was already.
And Noah's, it was finding out around the same age that Sunja was when she freaked Hansu that he was of bad blood that ruined his life. That was his losing move in pachinko. Yeah. For Mozasu, it was just like being Korean and having that as a father and
I feel like low key Mozasu did well, I think, for himself.
I think he was more accepting and like less intelligent, which made like him like less like subsequent to suffer like as much.
Yeah.
And then Solomon, we're thinking, I just want to say Solomon, I'm wearing a Columbia sweatshirt right now. Like Solomon pulled up to Columbia and was like, "Hey guys,
how y'all doing?"
Yeah. And he was successful, and his losing pachinko move was like yet to be determined.
Yeah.
I mean, he comes back in the end and he joins pachinko himself. But
yeah.
That's his choice. He doesn't have a losing pachinko move. He's the winner. And I think really this book doesn't really have like a solid ending. Like that's like the point of the book. It just keeps on going. But if you think of it from that, like from that
irritated
pachinko,
me so much, though.
But if you think about it from that pachinko perspective, he was the winner. That's the end. He won.
It's like they finally got out of that loop of like bad things happening.
I hope you're listening to this right now because this is really interesting. Like the whole like winner thing. Like
is that the whole point of like the book title?
Yeah.
Maybe. Like why did she call it pachinko?
The winner. It's like read between the lines. Like we had like home and motherland. Like we're trying. Then we have pachinko. The winner.
Yeah. Finally,
after 3 generations and a freaked up grandmother.
Loki, I know that like Mozasu did go into the pachinko business and was like Korean and like in a very unaccepting world. But Loki, I think he was a winner too. In some ways. In some ways, he was successful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He did.
I wish he would have gone to California.
Yeah.
But that's a discussion for another time.
I know, right?
Let's go over Generation 3 by itself and then compare it. So Generation 3, what does it speak on? We really talked about this the entire podcast, so it's hard.
Right, I feel like we got better about...
we got better. I feel like we've gotten, like, just a reflection on us. We've definitely, like, we've analyzed a lot. It's very natural. I feel like this podcast has really helped with
understanding the book. And, like, going deeper into it. But I feel like this this speaks not only to like Generation 3, what you were saying, it speaks to all race, gender, parenthood, and acceptance.
It just keeps building up and spiraling
normalizing.
and just, oof. But it's like, Generation 1 was more man versus woman, you know, gender.
Yeah.
Number 2, Generation 2 was about, like, racial and the gender. Now
Yeah.
Wave 3 is about
Like 4 different things.
everything normalized.
Everything normalized. Yeah.
Wow. I feel so, like, fulfilled.
I feel like that just like brings like a moment of like realization to it where now I'm like oh my goodness.
I'm doing a wheelie.
Oh, that a wheelie? Is that what we're calling
Check it. What do you think about that? A donut.
That was amazing.
Was a donut. So Michaela lives in a roundabout, and I just made a quick.
Oh my god.
Okay, I made a circle. We had fun. That was to celebrate the end, also because my lights were shining at that person's house, and there's somebody in there.
Oh,
but yeah, that really sums everything up. I mean, wow.
How it speaks to identity.
I have a whole different viewpoint on Pachinko now.
I know, right?
I'm really happy that we found, like, closure in, like, the end of the book. Because,
Right.
like, Solomon was the winner. And the worst part was, like, we're not even, like, emotionally attached to him that much. Because he won.
Yeah, and I feel like we wanted so badly for her to win, but she lost from the beginning.
Ugh.
And then so did Noah.
So it was just watching a train wreck, like, that already happened. It's like how,
Right.
Yosep got so injured and was just suffering until he died. It's
Oh
like,
my God.
It's like she got injured and was just dealing with the
Kyung-hee
injuries.
couldn't be happy.
No, she was done.
Bro, if he didn't say anything to her about that
If
and just waited for him to die.
If we discussed Generation Zero, if we discussed Kyung-hee, then we would talk about maybe how, like, it would be economic for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
before, like, I mean, the woman-man, like, thing definitely existed. It's, like, the whole Hoonie thing. But it was definitely economic. So we got economic, we got social, we got we got everything.
Everything.
We touched on everything, man.
Yeah.
Woo! I know we're slapping, but now I'm sad. We're no longer podcast girlies.
Right?
But let's celebrate.
And
Podcast is over. What an ending.
That is the end of episode 3. Yes.
I don't want to say goodbye. Oh.
That was very musical of you.
Oh, I could be musical if you
Oh,
want.
yeah?
okay, let's end it there before I start like belting with vibrato. But thank you so much for listening. Thank you for, like, giving us a chance to really dive into this book and understand it.
Yeah.
Because I definitely, I love Pachinko, I love the book, but I definitely
It was
wouldn't have
amazing.
analyzed it this hardcore.
Yes.
So I feel fulfilled, I feel happy, and I feel...
Thank you, Miss Green, for letting us.
Yeah,
Giving us this opportunity.
And that's
to do
genuine,
this as
that's
a
not
project.
that's not a sucking up to you, like, that's genuine, like...
I know, right? Like, I actually love this book. This is probably my favorite book out of all of them.
Yeah. Hey, it's either Handmaid's Tale or this one, truly. Like,
Yes.
this one had more things throughout the book. Handmaid's Tale was more like, at the end, I truly appreciated it all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really boring leading up to that.
That's the point! Okay.
I know, but...
Now we're talking about a different book. Thank
Sorry.
you. Thank you, Miss Green. Thank you to all our listeners, our 1 million audience members.
Oh, yes.
And good night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.